and welcome to the J-Train Podcast. It's J-Train Jared Freed coming to you live from the quarantine cabin on the Lower East Side of Manhattan. We are here Mondays and Thursdays with your emails, your stories, your questions. I say it every episode. Let me say it again. Thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for telling a friend. Thank you. That's how it all works, people. You tell a friend, a coworker, a brother, a sister, a mama, a papa, anyone with ears, and then they tell a friend, a brother, a sister, and that's how we grow. So thank you for telling friends and coworkers. We are getting into wintertime, and right now there's somebody that needs the ability to put their brain on the shelf. That's what this is all about. Let Papa JT take the wheel. Let the Wizard of Oz take the wheel. Let me be your guide through the treacheries of anxiety that is a COVID winter. Ooh, even the phrase COVID winter made me sad. We've gone into the COVID winter, never to return. Doesn't it feel like that should be said? So listen, help your friends through the COVID winter. Let me be your guide through the dark woods of COVID winter. I can help you. I can help your friend, your brother, your sister, your mama, your papa. And if you're looking for other ways to get involved with the J-Train, your boy, Papa JT, the Climax Czar, I got a Patreon account, patreon.com/Jared Freed. I'm doing 3 additional podcasts a week for $5 a month. That is what a lot of people would call a deal. So, holiday time starts getting darker earlier, COVID winter. Patreon.com/Jared Freed to help you through the cold months. Also, I'm trying to get out there as much as I can, as much as places are open if you want to come see a show. I think this will be out before, but Indianapolis for New Year's Eve weekend, Indianapolis, jaredfreed.com, jaredfreed.com to get tickets. And we're on YouTube. YouTube land, hello. Trying to build this YouTube platform, trying to get you over there. So youtube.com/Jared Freed. I'm doing Vent Sesh. We're doing Vent Sesh, which is like an advice show. The Bachelor Rose Rehash after show. It's all there. Subscribe to the YouTube page, and these full episodes are there. So that's all exciting stuff. And, you know, that's a free way to get involved with what's happening here. So I'm very excited about today's guest, an OKP on the podcast, original key player, hilarious comic that you should all be following. He has 2 radio shows. He's got DYM, which is every Friday, anywhere you listen to podcasts. And he's got Celebrate, which is on Wednesdays at 4 o'clock on Sirius Raw Dog Radio. Sean Donnelly, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me. Oh, my God. It's so good to see you. I'm so glad to be here with the pandemic shaman. You're going to take us through. You will take us to the promised land. You will take us up the mountain.
I have a big staff, a huge, long beard.
You have a burro, you just have just a donkey that you have all your supplies on.
That's right. Plenty of snacks, a lot of popcorn, a lot of Skinny Pop. Yeah,
I think that's good for that journey. Do you think popcorn is really a snack?
I don't know. It would be all things I like: Skinny Pop, pretzels. Someone would be like, "Where's like the molasses and cooking, and cooking utensils?" I'd be like, "No, I brought like the 100-calorie packs of Skinny Pop." Yeah. That would be what I would bring on my donkey.
Like, do you have protein bars? You're like, no, I have White Claws and Skinny Pop. That's what that's
to get us through. What did you bring? Did you bring any? Yeah, any Tito's vodka?
I brought Skittles and was the Fireball shots. That's what I brought.
Sean Donnelly, so glad to have you here. Everyone needs to go follow Sean at Shawnee Time. At Shawnee Time on Instagram. Go follow. Celebrate Wednesdays at 4. Tell us about Celebrate. What is it?
Well, as you know,
it's on Sirius. Is it a podcast too, or is it just on Sirius?
It's just on Sirius. It's a weekly radio show every Wednesday at 4 on Raw Dog 99 because that's how I do it. Raw Dog, Jared.
They really gotta they gotta change the name
of that channel. Yeah, they should.
Why wasn't it like a whole thing where it was like, this is where you get your real comedy?
I think it was like, I think they tried to do the thing of like, this is where the AIDS jokes are. And then after a while that became kind of played out. But now it's a great channel. We got us on there. We got Andy Fiori show on there. So it's a great channel, but it's just one of those things that
Celebrate.
Yeah, you've been on Celebrate, exactly. But it's one of those things where I don't know if I give off a raw dog vibe. I don't think I have that.
You hope you don't.
You hope you don't. Yeah, raw dog's really become kind of a brutal phrase.
It really is. It didn't age well. Like it was at some point, raw dog was fine enough and funny enough to be a name of a radio station on a very major satellite platform, and now we're just like, I'm on Raw Dog. I
don't know. Yeah, exactly. We make fun of it all the time, but we do. And actually, even the show's called Celebrate, and we take one topic a week and we celebrate it because everything's kind of shitty right now. So why not try to be positive about something?
Listen, the positivity, looking at the positive, it is interesting that is like a wheelhouse now. Like you never thought things would be so negative that being positive would be like a good play.
It'd be a hook. Yeah, how could positive? Yeah, that's how shitty things got. That positivity became a hook. It became a whole. Yeah,
I get that response a lot from this podcast because we're talking about luxury issues here. Nothing here is like, most
too heavy.
Like, every now and again we get like a thinker and a serious one, but like for the most part, we're talking about things that like someone could always go, someone could always come into this podcast during the taping going, hey, shut it off. There's more important things.
Right. That's what people want these days. They want to escape.
This is the escape they need, celebrates the escape they need. And you have a podcast that I want everyone to go listen to. DYM. I have a place in my heart for your podcast. I was a part of when you first started it.
Yes, that's true.
And you wanted to have a movie podcast, and we were trying to come up with names or ideas for the hook. Again, the hook.
The hook. And the hook was, originally the hook was you defend a movie that you like that nobody else does. But Jared, what happened with that is nobody would do it. Nobody would come in and defend the freaking movies. So then we had a little segment on there where we'd team up two movies against each other, which we still do. So now what it's become, because we can be looser on the podcast, it's movies and more. We talk a lot about movies. There's a lot of movie references. There's a lot of Seinfeld references. We talk about random stuff, but then we'll do the movie showdowns where we do the verses, but instead of it being one movie, now it's two movies that are kind of related either by director or by genre, and then we get really passionate and go back and forth on those on different points: acting, directing, cinematography, all that stuff. So
considering the time of year, you would like pit two Christmas movies against each other.
Exactly. We just did what's the best Thanksgiving movie, and we had a whole bunch of
what was it between?
We did. I came up with Planes, Trains, and Automobiles as the best Thanksgiving movie.
People love that movie.
It's a great movie. I grew up on that movie. It's a great movie.
That is one of those movies that like I could put a person with it, like in my life, that would be like that's their movie.
Yes, yeah. And you have somebody in mind right now that you would put.
Yeah, I'm thinking of like someone from high school that like specifically.
Yeah, loved
it. They would just have it, taped to the wall with Velcro, and they'd like rip it down. Like, let's just do Planes, Trains, and Automobile. And you'd be like, okay, I guess we're doing this again for the day.
Watch this for the 18,000th time.
Well, if it's my 18,000th time with them, then it must be their 40 millionth time.
Do you have a movie like that it's like what's your go-to? What's your like?
I mean, not to go back. I don't know if this is still in the catalog, but people can go and listen to DYM.
Yes,
if you haven't
they can.
subscribed to it, I've been a guest on it when you were defending the movie, and I defended House Guest.
House Guest. I'm sorry, not Jingle All the Way. I knew it was a Sinbad movie. House Guest. Yes, you did.
It's my family's favorite movie.
That's right. I forgot about that. The family gets together and watches House Guest.
Love it. And then one time I went on stage with Sinbad, and I was like, this is like a huge moment for me. Yeah. I was like I needed a picture. I needed everything. Cause I was like, my parents have to see this. And I remember telling him going, hey man, like he brought me on stage, and I was like, dude, House Guest is my family's favorite movie. And it was the perfect Sinbad response. And especially, I know he's had a stroke recently. I hope he's okay. Yeah. My good friend Sinbad. But I remember it was such a funny response. He was like to him, it was like, of course, that's your family's favorite movie. Like there was no irony to it to him, which I loved.
And that's why Sinbad. And that's why Sinbad, like that's not the, I wouldn't even call it the ego, just the confidence of a Sinbad. Just the confidence of
There's a thin line between confidence and ego, and Sinbad is all confidence, no ego. Like I don't think I meeting him, I was like, he was telling stories that I just remember sitting there being like, I can't believe I'm listening to this Sinbad story from Sinbad. Like,
well, I'll tell you, it's also kind of goes back to what we're talking about with everybody wants to celebrate things like they want to escape, because there's nothing wrong. Like, it's like House Guest, you watch it, it's a fun movie. It is a fun movie.
It's a fun movie. It's a very interesting movie. I think we got like so deep in the weeds.
You did. You made it about race relations.
I think it's good for race relations in this country. So everyone go follow Defend Your Movie. DYM, you can follow it on all the podcast apps. It's every Friday. Add it to your rotation. Put it in that Rolodex of podcasts that you listen to, because, again, we all need these light things. You're a Seinfeld aficionado, I would call you.
Yes, I would even say that.
You know every line, every episode, right?
I not every line, every episode, but I know things. Like, I would know more than, like, I can hold my own in any conversation about Seinfeld. So, more than hold my own, I should say.
So I wanted to ask you, because I was just at home. I was in Florida with my parents, and like, there is no way to avoid this is an episode of Seinfeld yes, right. from Del Boca Vista. Like, there are so many, and you don't want to be the cliche. You don't, like, you want to tell stories about it, but you know that eventually someone's going to go, yeah, it's a Seinfeld episode. And you're like, no, but this is my life. Like,
this is actually happening.
Have you have you gone to a Florida retirement community and like, to me, going down to, like, I would assume that if you came down with me, it would be like riding the rides. Like, it would be like going to Universal Studios and doing, like, it is such a real version of those episodes.
Yes, I'm sure it would be. Like, with people dying and then having dinner at 3:00 in the afternoon and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I absolutely would. It'd be like a fantasy camp for me. It'd be like a Seinfeld fantasy camp.
Do you have a favorite Seinfeld episode where they go to Florida? I had to ask you this.
I like the one with the when is it Kramer runs for president of the condo board? I think Kramer runs for president, and then Jerry gets them it's not the Wizard, it's the Willard, because Kramer gets a deal from Bob Sacamano, and they're all broken, and they don't calculate tips properly, so Kramer loses the presidency. So he goes, Morty, I just left 20% on this $3 bagel,
dude, and it's one of those things that, like, you know, the Jews being cheap thing is like an offensive thing to people.
Sure,
but it's I see that and I go, this is very much a Jew. Like, there were things, like, I'm not saying Jews are cheap, but they're very aware of those small minutia of like 20%. I just left 20% and getting mad at someone because, like, my parents and I went to the beach, and my dad pulled out Thanksgiving leftovers at a beach club. And I wouldn't call my dad cheap. That would be an insult of some sort. But I would say that us going to the beach club, and if I ordered something off the menu, it would injure him personally. Like, it would offend him in such a way. How could you not try to sneak in? Like, he had a turkey leg like a medieval king on the beach, and all I could think about were those Seinfeld episodes, just like how, like, someone would look at that and go, yeah, look at those cheap Jews. But, like, to me, I was like, no, this is just so much more than that. This isn't about cheap, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, but here's the thing. I think I might go across the board sometimes too, because, like, I think a lot of people are cheap or frugal or mindful of their cash. Because we used to go to, when Woolworths, this is how old I am. Woolworths was a thing, and we used to go to a movie theater near my house in Long Island, and we'd go to Woolworth and get candy and then sneak candy into the movie theater.
But that makes sense to me. But I guess.
Oh, you're saying because it's the beach club, it's like, come on, drop a couple bucks for some fries or something at the beach club.
I don't know. I guess it's not even the act of, like, it's not about saving the money. It's about you are it's almost like, Jared, who do you think you are to not try and sneak it in? Does that make sense? Yes, going to Woolworths, like it's not like he's doing this because he needs to pack away a lunch.
Right.
He is just more offended that there could be food in the fridge that wasn't being utilized for such a thing.
Yes, absolutely. I know what you're talking about.
You know what I mean? So again, just like Sinbad, it's a thin line between confidence and ego. It's a thin line between cheap and a personal thing.
Some kind of weird goal, like some kind of weird goal in your brain to see what I can get away with, kind of thing, you know?
Well, I'm happy you're here, Sean, because our first email is about TV, and I'm happy to have you as our expert. And I want everyone to go follow Sean at ShawnEtime, on Instagram. It's going to be all over my social media, and it's called DYM. That's the podcast every Friday.
One more thing before you get to that. I was just going to say that. You know what else it might be? Because both of us don't have kids. You think it's a parent thing as well? Almost like when your mom saves plastic bags from things and has them in her bag, or like saves napkins to like wipe your face when you're a kid.
I think there's something to that where it's like it's being prepared.
It's being prepared. Exactly.
There will be a time where I'll have to spend money at the movies or the beach club. But until that time, I want to be saving up. I think there's something to that. Yeah, I think that it is. But it is funny that Seinfeld captured that. Someone was like, I always thought that someone could take just the trip to the Florida community and just make that a whole show.
They could, absolutely.
And you never know why that never happened. Maybe because of the comparisons to Seinfeld, but what isn't compared to something else?
Well, you know what it is? No, I think that probably there must have been, we're in show business, and there must have been a pilot that was made that was based about a guy who had to move down with his parents at one of these places. It must have been full time. Even though I know Seinfeld did it, but that's 30 years ago at this point, 25 years ago, whatever it is. Just like I did, there's never really been a show about a doorman. I wrote a show about a doorman building and we tried to get it made and it didn't get made. But there's never been a doorman show, and you're like, how is that not possible?
What was the response to the doorman? What was the negatives? When they say you're sitting there being like, so for those at home that don't know this, you go out and pitch a show. You're like, here's the idea. I wrote the script for it. So you did a show about a doorman. Doorman buildings here in New York are just there's a whole thing to it.
I worked in one for 2 years, so I wrote it exactly based off the building that I worked in. Even the character names were close or on the point of what the guys I worked with were named.
Yeah.
So the reason why, I'll just say this, because at this point it's everything's out in the open anyway. It's it wasn't the topic of the doorman building why it didn't get made, or I don't think so. The vibe that I got, or the feedback that I got, is that it was for Comedy Central and it wasn't weird enough for them. It actually was a fairly weird show and had some moments in it where you're a little bit absurdist, but apparently I think they wanted very weird, super weird.
I could see where they're looking at the success of Workaholics, where Workaholics is a very normal premise. Three guys work together in an office, and then it's
personality based. And
then it goes into wacky world of everything's hijinks ensue type of situation.
Exactly. So that's what I think happened with this. So I still have it, and I might try to rework it or whatever it is. Not that's the boring part. But it's crazy to me that this hasn't been made yet in this setting, because it's such a great setting.
And it's a world. I think that's for a lot of TV shows. You're just what's the world that we're going into? Exactly. Well, you're going into doorman world, and especially now, I would think that show works because of the class differences.
The us versus them aspect. And that's what this was. The whole pilot was about that. The whole thing was about it.
Yeah. Listen, if you're out there listening and you're in Hollywood, if Mr. Hollywood or Mrs. Hollywood is listening, Sean, ask ShawnEtime. Hit him up. Well, on this subject, Jim and Pam, my personal nightmare. There's been a lot made of how bad Jim and Pam are. Are you an Office fan?
I'm a huge Office fan.
I'm a huge Office fan as well. Big fan of You Up and J-Train. I've told everyone I know about how funny you are. Not sure if you had this question before. It's kind of random. Wanted your thoughts on Jim and Pam's relationship from The Office. I just finished the series last night and couldn't help but think about how dysfunctional their relationship was, with Jim secretly buying them a house and Pam secretly selling their house, etc. Would love to hear your thoughts. Feather, feather. So, Sean, These storylines of Jim and Pam are from later seasons because she's just getting done with the show. But right. Jim and Pam, there's been a lot made of revisionist history of how bad they are as a couple. I mean, I've been talking about this for a long time, but even as long as I've been talking about how Pam kind of stinks, people have been talking about this online for a long time now.
Well, I'll agree with you in a way. I think what happens is this: it actually kind of is pretty true to life, because look what happens to relationships over time. Like, things get a little bit, either played out, or people grow apart sometimes, or weird shit happens, where dysfunctional shit happens. But the first few years of that show, and that's one of the unrequited, not even unrequited, the part where they were friends and he's into her and she's mad, like, that could not have rang truer for so many people when that show came out. Like, that alone. Now, you could chalk it up to the show went way longer than maybe the relationship part of it should have. They maybe should have had them break up at some point in the show, but I think they were worried about pissing off fans of the show. But yeah, I think it does get weird after a while, because they were trying to keep it as fresh as it was in the beginning, even relationship wise and TV writing wise. So yeah. I think they were trying to do there's a lot of weird parts where Pam is expects way more out of Jim than Jim expects out of Pam. Like, it's not a two-way street kind of thing. It was almost like a Pam is the focal point and of the relationship the whole time. It wasn't like a partnership, if you're really talking in real relationship terms.
Sure.
Like, if you love each other that much, shouldn't the scales even out at some point, where it's like, I'm going to do for you what you've done for me, and that kind of thing.
But I agree with that. I mean, I guess as the more the storylines kind of stack up, the more you're like, wait a minute, we've been watching this couple for 6 years now, and nothing has. It's always the same beats, right. Different, same dance to a different song. But I would say it's funny, because now people look at how the relationship started, and they go, well, look at her. She basically cheated on her fiance. And it's funny, like, when you look at it from one angle versus another. Like, if you look at it from Jim and Pam's angle, you're like, yeah, that's how anyone acts when they're dating. Someone that you also have in your life, you're treating as a side character. She treats Roy as a bit player. He was a bit player on the show.
He was a bit player on the show. Yeah, exactly.
So, and it's like, people then go, well, try to defend Roy, and you go, who acts that way when they're trying to find love? Someone gets fucked.
Right. Well, you also have the angle. That's what I didn't mind the first couple of years. The angle of their relationship at the beginning, or her and Roy, was the whole idea was he was a bit player because, well, not just because of the time economy of the show, but also because it was supposed to be wrong. Basically, the equation was supposed to be like, hey, they have this connection, and she's in a relationship that's wrong, and this guy's not the most sensitive of guys and really doesn't give a shit about the relationship. That was kind of the point over the years of that. So I have no problem being
and also, nobody looks at Pam as a sad figure, because you're like, she's got Jim,
right?
Batting his eyes at her, and you're like, good, she'll fall into Jim's lap.
Right, exactly. Like, she had the support there, and then you realize, like, oh, this could be true love, or whatever you want to call it. Like, and that's the exciting part. And like you said, like, the other part was a bit part. This is the main focus of the show, is them getting together, and oh man, all these near misses, all this, she's being treated shitty, and then like, there's even a part in a later season where she's like, I can't believe it took me 4 years to see that I should have been with this guy, like that kind of thing. Like, I still think by the end they should be together. I think that the whole idea was how the show, the people creating the show were like, how can we keep this as attractive as it was in the beginning towards the end, which is really hard to do. And sure. I think I don't know if I want to ruin people's time, but I read something that they were gonna maybe make them break up at one point, and they weren't going to get back together in the show. And then I'm like, I think if you have this phenomenon that was The Office after people started watching and getting into it, and by the time that show ended, people would have lost their minds if that couple would have broken up. That's another thing.
Your mic went out for 2 seconds. Lost their minds.
People would have lost their minds if they would have broken up on the show. Like they would have.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah,
I think you're right, and I think now because we have it on Netflix that you can just watch it over and over again, you start to go, this relationship was kind of fucked up. But that's what happens with every relationship that you look at from the outside.
Yes.
Like my dad used to say this all the time growing up. I don't know if it was the saddest thing he ever said to us, but he would always say, he's like, every family relationship is good. It's the people from the outside that tell you how fucked up your relationship is that end up making the family fight with each other. Because, over time, you and your family meld together in a way that is a yin and yang type of way, where it's like you know when to back off, they know when to like go forward. Just like you're saying with Jim and Pam. Yeah, Jim and Pam, you'd go, it felt like Jim always made concessions for Pam. In the relationship, Jim goes, this is how we work. So it's like when you bring in like a girlfriend that goes, boy, your whole family really gives you shit. And you're like, that's kind of how we do it.
Yeah.
Yes, and then it gets into your head, you start going, they do give me shit.
It can change the dynamic. An outsider can change the dynamic of a relationship.
And that's what we do with Jim and Pam, because I make fun of Pam all the time on Twitter, but like I'm doing that from the perspective of like, I'm on the outside. I can shoot little snipes and go, and it doesn't matter to me. I'm just noticing.
And the person who wrote in is kind of right, because if you watch the evolution of the relationship, the whole thing is like Jim chasing Pam, Jim chasing Pam, Jim chasing Pam. And the minute he's settled in and he's not like in reverence of her, and he's like, I'm going to do something for myself, is when she has a problem with the relationship. Because he does that thing where he starts that company in the show without telling her, which, yes, that's a problem too. They're holding secrets or whatever it is. But I think that the whole idea is how are you going to make the show more exciting. That if they have a secret, then it becomes more exciting. Now, but the fact of the matter is, you could look into it even harsher and make it even get deeper with it and be like, oh, she's bummed that he's trying to better himself because she had an opportunity once with going to that school. Like, if you really wanted to like look at it like a real relationship, she's like, hey, I want you to stay status quo like I am. Like, why aren't you contented in what's going on here? And he's trying to like break out of that and like do something for himself and not just stay in this hole. So it is kind of a shitty dynamic, because she's like, first off, it's like, why is any bit of the attention off of me right now? I thought I was the focal point of this whole thing. And story-wise, that was the thing for a while. And then on top of that, if you look at real relationship terms, it's like, oh, you don't like how driven this guy is getting, and that's an issue.
Well, it is interesting because when I make fun of Pam, and I'll post it like on Instagram every now and again, the defenders of her are a very similar crop. Like you're almost defending yourself, because Pam does represent a lot of people out there.
Sure.
There's a lot of people that go, I didn't go to art school because I wanted to get married. I wanted to have kids, and that's the choice I made for my life. And then you go, Pam, you're holding him back. And she goes, and then they go, well, what about the concessions Pam made? Like that. It is interesting that these TV characters represent like you playing your life out sometimes.
Yes, absolutely. And that's what's so good about that show, is that even though it's a wacky show, there's a lot of it's so funny, and the main focal point is the comedy of the show, but it's that real life comedy. So the fact that you're getting that real life awkward comedy in The Office, at the same time, you're getting real life subtle drama that happens in people's lives. And that's why it's so relatable, because you're like, holy shit, I've been in this situation. It's not just like the single guy with Jonathan Silverman, and he's like, I'm dating too much. I got these sitcom problems. It really is like, I am in love with this girl and she's getting married. And that really fucking happens. And they were so good at pulling off how it would come off that people are like, I know these people and these are my people.
And also you had enough wacky of everyone else that you could have this be like the third storyline or the second storyline and have a little tinge of it.
Yes, absolutely. You can, that's why it was so good, because it was sprinkled in throughout the entire thing, and it really how many times has either unrequited or somebody you're into is with somebody or whatever it is, and the you can feel that in your stomach, that like you can just feel what this guy's going through the whole time. Like it's so goddamn realistic than any other show. Like I'm not going to watch some other sitcom and be like, oh, I can really relate to this random corny guy that's going through these dating like this. That actually, it made it for real. Like it
probably helped it that it didn't have a laugh track too.
Absolutely,
that's got to help it, because then it feels a little bit more seamless. But listen, we could go on about Jim and Pam for hours. JTrain Podcast, gmail.com, JTrain Podcast at gmail.com. Here with Sean Donnelly at Shawnee Time. Go follow. DYM, that's the podcast. Every Friday, get subscribed. The DYM Podcast. We are sponsored, people. The J-Train Podcast is brought to you by Hello Tushy. It's hard to believe that when we go to the bathroom in this country, most of us wipe instead of wash. Imagine jumping in the shower, not turning on the water, just wiping your body with dry paper. People would call you crazy. So why wipe with dry toilet paper instead of washing with water? For years, bidets have been available but hideously expensive, costing thousands of dollars. But now there's Hello Tushy. I will tell you right now, I would encourage all of you to make the leap, because I have a Hello Tushy, and let me give you it is very hard to find a luxury that also saves you money and improves your life. Sometimes luxuries are just, you have it, you do it. Eating chocolates, chocolate covered strawberries doesn't improve your life, but it's luxurious. Having caviar is luxurious, but you're not having a better day because you had caviar. You're just like, today's a day where I enjoyed, some delicious, caviar. The Hello Tushy will improve your life, give you a luxurious spa after every poop, and it's going to save you money on toilet paper. In our house, we haven't bought toilet paper in months. But we're using the Hello Tushy every day. It feels great. I mean, the fact that I'm looking forward to poops now, because after every poop, I'm doing this. You don't do that. Most of you are going, because that's the sound you make when you're using dry toilet paper. So the Hello Tushy not only is going to help you save money on toilet paper, but it's also going to make your day better. And I'm saying, and they're doing it for the right price. The Hello Tushy Modern Bidet is an attachment, and it's here to democratize the blessings bestowed by bidets and offer clean buttholes to everyone. Hello Tushy cleans your butt with a precise stream of water for just $79. Are you kidding me, people? You don't have to buy a new toilet. You don't have to buy a new bidet. It is an attachment that goes on your toilet for $79, and it attaches to your existing toilet. No electricity or additional plumbing, and cuts toilet paper use by 80%. See? 80. They're saying 80%. I'm telling you, I'm going like 2 squares of poop here. So the Hello Tushy bidet pays for itself in a few months, because with Hello Tushy, you don't wipe at all. I give a couple wipes. I do a pat down. Even the best 2-ply just can't cut it when it comes to hands-free poop experience. So also, every Hello Tushy bidet attachment comes with a 60-day risk-free guarantee and a 12-month warranty. So they're backing it up, people. Join the millions of happy Hello Tushy customers right now and have a clean butt with every flush. Go to hellotushy.com/JTrain to get 10% off. This is a special offer for our listeners. Go to hellotushy.com/JTrain for 10% off. That's hellotushy.com/JTrain for 10% off. The J-Train Podcast is brought to you by Lucy Nicotine. I have to say, we're heading towards the holiday season, which also means the new year, which also means self-improvement time. This is the time of year where we evaluate. We look at the thing that we've done over the past year, and 2020 has been a tough one, and we say, how do I make a difference? How do I make a new move? How do I look at myself and better myself for the next year? How do I make 2021 better than 2020, better than 2019, better than 2018? What are the things that I can work on? And I do this every year. I do this every single year. And I try to simplify it. What's one thing that I can help that I can better myself with that will trickle down to the rest of my daily habits? And Lucy Nicotine is a company founded by Caltech scientists to make a tobacco alternative that doesn't taste bad. Researched and developed for 3 years to be made for people, not patients. Lucy has created a nicotine gum with 4 milligrams of nicotine that comes in 3 flavors: wintergreen, cinnamon, pomegranate. Lucy also has a lozenge with 4 milligrams of nicotine in cherry ice flavor. Each and every flavor actually tastes great, and it's convenient and discreet. Products can be enjoyed anywhere, on flights, at work, and on the go, or even in the gym. The trick is to have it for when you need it. Be prepared. It's 2020. Get rid of your cigarettes. Unplug your vape. Throw out your dip and get some Lucy nicotine gum or lozenges. This is the real deal. A subscription to Lucy comes directly to your door each month. It's so simple, and you don't have to leave your house because Lucy has delivery down. I'll say this. I don't smoke cigarettes, but as far as habits are concerned and breaking habits, it's all about having the tools right at your fingertips. I'm trying to eat better. When the biggest asset to me eating better is having like an RX bar nearby and not getting to the point of starvation. And I say starvation, with finger quotes, but not getting to the point of hunger where I make the mistake. And I would assume the same thing goes for smoking cigarettes. It's not about, it's not about that last possible second where you're like, damn it, I'm in a pinch, I'm just going to have the cigarette. You want to get ahead of it. And with the lozenges and the gum from Lucy and having it delivered and not being in a pinch where it's like Sunday and you go, ugh, I'm out of the gum, I got to wait till Monday to get to the store. No. Get on a program. So just for my listeners, go to lucy.co and use promo code JTRAIN to get 20% off all products, including gum and lozenges. That's lucy.co. Use promo code JTRAIN at checkout. Also, I have to give this disclaimer. Warning, this product contains nicotine derived from tobacco. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. But go to lucy.co and be sure to use that promo code JTRAIN to get 20% off today. Jared, odd question that I know in theory no one knows but myself can answer. But hey, it's worth a shot. I've been with my boyfriend now for 1 year after dating for 2 years in college. We broke up for a myriad of reasons, but basically he was ready to settle down and I wasn't. Now we're back together and it's been great. We've communicated whatever differences we had, and we're on the same page with things that used to be hard to talk about. I am not an easy person to deal with, and for some reason, he loves me anyways. He's gentle and patient and smart and more considerate than anyone I know, and my family and friends love him. I do too. I just don't think I'm, quote-unquote, in love with him anymore, which I know means different things to different people, and I know he now feels stronger about me than I do about him. And he knows that. We've talked about it. I want to make him happy, and I love being with him, and I know I would be content to spend the rest of my life with him, but is content enough? Shouldn't I be ecstatic, giddy, obsessed with my significant other? I don't know. We're looking to move in together soon, long distance currently, though we have lived together for months at a time with no problem, and I just don't know if I'll ever get that spark back. Am I a bad person for waiting to see what happens? Should I just end it now, even though there's no reason to, or should I choose the happy, stable option over jumping into the abyss unnecessarily? I'm not afraid of being alone. I'm afraid of losing an amazing aspect of my life. Thanks a million. What do you think?
Well, this is a tough one, dude. This is
tough.
A real tough one because this happens all the time. This happens so much. And I would say that I think, in my personal opinion, I would say the absence makes the heart grow fonder thing. I think spending time apart would be your best bet for seeing how you feel. And if you
they are long distance now, so wouldn't you think that?
That should do it. Yeah, I would say if she doesn't feel it, maybe the idea of them being around each other more will make her see something in them that that creates that spark. But to be honest, I don't know. I don't think if she's not into it now, I don't see it. Just like we were talking about with how relationships as they go on, things can get tired and so
yeah. It's hard to give her an answer because we can't tell her there's no right answer here. That's the biggest problem is like, she's like, should I just be content for the rest of my life?
No.
A lot of people would go, yeah, content for a lifetime. What's wrong with that? And I don't like.
Well, is she content? But does content mean happy at the same time? Because can she? I don't know. I'm asking. Can she be content and be like, I'm fine with this, but not actually happy? That's really where it comes down to, I think.
Yeah, there's a difference between those two, and that doesn't have to be giddy. I think that the problem is everyone's like tells you like, oh, you'll know when you know, and it's like this you end up chasing a ghost because she's I should have that feeling that everyone tells me about. But a lot of people just tell you that feeling because they look back on it and they don't know that they felt that or not. I don't think anyone. Also, when you pinch my arm and the doctor says, "What is that to you?" A 10 or a 1, like everyone has a different tolerance for pain. Everyone feels these things differently.
Right. People are, everybody's synapses are firing very differently.
Yeah. So when she says, I'm not an easy person to deal with, maybe this is your version of giddy. I don't know. I'm just trying to point out things that maybe get looked over because there's always someone that goes, no, when you know, it's going to be amazing. Yeah. You're going to be shitting your pants on a daily basis, and you're like, I don't know if I've ever felt that way about anything.
I will say this. I do commend her for being she sounds pretty self-aware. To say like,
totally.
I'm not an easy person to deal with. Like a lot of people wouldn't say that. Like a lot of people would just not know that they're not an easy person to deal with. And I think another thing that might help is, has she done this in the past? Because if she has, then I think you have to go on a handicap or a gradient where you go, well, compared to how you felt in the past, does this surpass? Like maybe she is, like maybe like what you said, where she's not capable of having that giddiness and that feeling. So maybe it's the thing where like, this is all I'm going to get to, especially if she's that like, she seems pretty grounded to the point where she's like, and fairly objective enough, or maybe she won't get to the point of like, oh my God, I'm head over heels. But it just depends on if she's happy or not,
Yeah, it's very tough. And I think the other tough part, and I think the one thing I can really speak to her about is there might be a little guilt here. She says in the email
100%.
that they broke up for a myriad of reasons, but he was ready. He was ready to settle down and I wasn't. Now we're back together and it's been great. We've communicated whatever differences we had. But it's like you broke up the first time for the same reason you're writing in the second time.
Is that what she said? Is that what she was saying?
She said we broke up for a myriad of reasons, but basically he was ready to settle down and I wasn't.
Oh, okay,
and now you're writing in again about liking him and loving him, but not being excited about it. So, I would assume if that were me, where I've gone back to someone that I was told that I wasn't ready, and then I go back to them, I go, hey, I'm more ready now. I would feel like I wasted their time, or or I was now, because I came back the second time, I'm now stuck. And I don't mean that word stuck is kind of shitty to use, but I would say to her, you're never stuck. I would say, I think you're going to feel some guilt, but like everyone who loves you will understand that you're just trying to get to a place of feeling better. Maybe you have to realize, take that self-awareness about this relationship and put it to yourself and your mental health. And maybe you went back to him for reasons that maybe a therapist could have helped you work through, or a professional,
Right, absolutely. And also the love but not in love with thing is a big thing. You want to have that separation of you need that, even if it's not head over heels in love with it. In love with is way different than that love. I love this. I love her. I'm in love with her. I'm in love with her. Like,
to me, it sounds like she loves this guy and she's not in love with him.
Yes, right. I think right. 100% right. So I think she's kind of answering her own questions. I think you said they're long distance. Maybe the way to go is, you said they're moving in together. Was that part of it, right?
Yeah, they're going to move in together.
I think maybe you put off moving in together, but he comes back and gets his own. They date nearby, because long distance is hard too. So throwing that wrench in the works can't help the situation either. So this guy might end up moving close by, and all she needed was to see maybe aspects of him when they're closer that she didn't see when they previously. Maybe I don't know, but it's definitely worth the shot of being like, let's have a normal type relationship before she would break it off or whatever.
Sure. And I would also encourage her, like, she says I'm okay being on my own, but like, I'm not afraid of being alone, but like, you went back to the same person. Now you're feeling the same way as before. Like, I do have a feeling here that she's like, there's some guilt involved. There's, I made this person come back. And now it's like they're getting on the doorstep of moving in together and not being long distance. When you're long distance, a lot of things can be like kind of swept under the carpet. Like it's like you guys get to have a great time together when you're together. And then when you're apart, you're like, oh, I check in with you once a day. And then before I go to bed at night. Now she's like, oh, shit. This is becoming real. If your person moving closer to you is an oh shit moment, it might not be the person. But
absolutely.
I respect the Sean, your opinion of saying like, hey, let's see what it's like in a different context in the same city. But like there is a point where it's like you have tried twice.
Yeah. And logically the reverse of that would be like it wouldn't be the like spending more time with them. It wouldn't make you realize, oh, I want to be with them. Like, or maybe it would. I don't know. I'm just saying that, like, normally it'd be the other way around, where it was like, oh, we're spending too much time together. That's why I can't. I don't know if I'm into this. Like that kind of thing. It should be. You should be excited. You'd be more excited because it's long distance. That makes more sense.
Absolutely. JTrainPodcast@gmail.com. JTrainPodcast@gmail.com. Here with Sean Donnelly at Shawnee Time. Go follow the DYM podcast every Friday. Narcissism or fetish? Jared and Guess, Feather. I come to you because I need insight into my boyfriend's behavior. He's 30 years old. We are in the honeymoon phase of our relationship, lots of quality time and sex. We've both been comfortable with expressing our sexual wants, needs, and having fun fulfilling them in bed. Recently, I noticed my boyfriend will stare into the mirror while we're having sex. At first, I thought, hot. Seeing our reflections can be a turn on. I'm into it. Then I realized the positions he puts me in would only allow him to see himself. For example, boyfriend will be on top of me while I lay on my back and the mirror will only catch his face/body. The past 3 times he's done this where he will stare at himself instead of looking at me. One time to the point of orgasm. He never mentioned to me this was a sexual thing he enjoyed. Questions, Is this a common male behavior? And should I be concerned at some level that my boyfriend's getting off by looking at himself, sincerely being upstaged by the mirror?
Yes, you should. I think it's
really.
I think so. I think it's. Yeah, I've never even heard of this happen. I'm not that I'm saying people aren't into the idea of watching, but usually it's supposed to be, unless like she doesn't, like she sees him looking at himself, but he's seeing himself fucking. That's what he's getting off of. For him, it might be like watching a porno or something.
Yeah.
That's why he's off on it. That's one thing. But if it's literally like a thing where she knows that he's doing it, he's looking at his face in the mirror, that seems like hardcore narcissism to me. But like, I don't know anybody who does that. The way she's putting it, saying he's positioning us so he just sees himself. If that's the case, that's so more problematic than if he's just doing it because he's watching them having sex and that's what's getting him into it. Like it's almost like a guy watches too much porno when you can only get off if he's watching people fuck, like whatever it is. So like
watching
that would make
porno.
more sense. And not be exactly. That wouldn't be as bad because she's involved in that, and she doesn't know if he's purposely switching the positions and she knows that for a fact, and she just wants to look into his own eyes in the mirror. Yeah, I've never heard of that before in my life. That sounds like
on the list of things that could be going on. This seems like a very harmless thing. Like it's actually like I don't know the harm involved. Like I would want to be a part of the fetish that my partner has. So I think that's the most concerning thing. Yes. I think any of us would be concerned that someone is kind of secretly maneuvering us into their fetish. Like you don't want to be playing a part in a movie you don't even know is taping. You know, you
think you're an extra and you're one of the main cast members of the movie.
Yeah, and it's like, and you do have this moment where you're like, I would feel a little cheap if all of a sudden I was like, wait a minute, that's what was going on. I do think there's a moment where it's like if someone was like touching my foot mid-sex every time, and then like a year later I found out like, yeah, I gotta feel a heel if I'm going to get off. I'd be like, well, let me in on this. Like, I think that's a more, like, also, again, a side note to this is like, how good looking is he? Like, I think that if he has like a great body, for some reason, it's more concerning to me than if he doesn't.
In my head, I pictured him. Yes, I pictured him being very much good-looking dude in shape, because I think that's the type of person that I think would do something like that if that's what he's doing.
I once caught my own reflection in like the window, and I was like, "Oh, get it away!" Like I was like, "I got to take a breath here." Like,
I think you have to. Yeah, right. In the same way, I don't want to. Like, you wouldn't usually want to watch that, but you're absolutely right.
I want to see my body in my mind's eye. I don't want to see it with my actual eye. Like yesterday, I was at the beach with my family, and like I caught my shadow in the wrong way. It was a fat shadow.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was like immediately disappointed. Like I want, because I had like a couple drinks and I was like feeling good. I was like, I had a few good days of working out. And in my mind's eye, I looked a certain way. And then I saw my shadow and I felt like a less confident Peter Pan. Like I just really lost it all on that shadow saw. So like, again, this guy, some people have the opposite feeling when they see themselves. They go, ooh, look how good I look. Look how, and also the porn aspect. I think that's what's going on more than anything is like,
I would guess that's why he's doing it. If I had to guess, that's why he's doing it. Because he's into the idea of watching that.
But if I were her, I would it's less about what the fetish is or what the thing is. It's, I want to be a part of it. If this is something you're looking to do, let me have fun with it too. Like, and I think she's got to like go to him like, hey, is the mirror like a part of your thing? Because I've noticed that we are always, we're always, in a full length mirror. All, you tried to have sex with me while I bent over to, brush my teeth. What's going on here?
Right. And I think what happens, one problem you can run into with that is like, sometimes people have these things because they're like, it's a secret and they're withholding it from the person. So it's like, it makes it that much like, if they expose it, it might cease to have the same effect that it has. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
but if I hear that. So, but if that's the case,
I'm agreeing with you. He should tell her if that's the case. I agree with you. I'm just saying that might be why he's not doing it. Cause he's like, oh, I had this little moment with myself in the mirror and that's getting me even more off to, to do it, like, so that might be part of the fun for him is she doesn't know that I'm doing this while we're having sex. That might be why the positions are getting manipulated. Because even if it is the porno aspect, it could be like, she doesn't know I'm looking right now. I'm looking, like that kind of thing.
Yeah. It's the wrongness of it.
Exactly.
But if that's the case, then, you're having sex with someone who is more of a narcissist than into you.
Sure, absolutely.
Like if they can't have sex with you unless they're looking in the mirror at themselves, and now that it's like, oh, the bloom's off the rose, you got to go, okay, I got to get away from this. Like this isn't sure, the healthiest person.
Yeah. I feel like when she finds out, it's not going to be a great situation.
No. The J-Train podcast is brought to you by Upstart. There's a lot of economic chatter right now about the state of the market. Is it recovering? How long will it take? Have we seen the worst? But if you're struggling to pay off high-interest credit card debt, you can't wait for those answers. You need to take action. Now, with Upstart, there's actually something you can do today to help fight off high-interest credit card debt. Upstart is a revolutionary online lending platform that knows you're more than just a credit score. I have to say, I love what Upstart's doing because it lets you investigate whether you can get help or not. That's it. That's all Upstart is doing. They're saying you're paying back a loan, you're paying some debt, you have debt in your life. If the rate that you're paying right now is higher than the Upstart rate, then Upstart is here to help you make a better economic decision for you. This is the equivalent of finding $20 in your winter coat. And unlike other lenders, Upstart can reward you based on your job history in the form of a smarter rate. Upstart lets you skip going to the bank because it's completely online. They offer loans from $1,000 to $50,000, so you can consolidate your debt into one easy fixed rate payment. Upstart makes it fast and simple to check your rate. Since it's just a soft pull, it won't affect your credit score. The hard pull happens if you accept your rate and proceed with your application. The best part, if the loan is approved and accepted, most people get their funds the very next business day. Over 500,000 people have used Upstart to pay off credit cards or meet their financial goals. Free yourself from the burden of high-interest credit card debt and get back to using your money your way with Upstart. See why Upstart has over 6,000 5-star reviews on Trustpilot, and hurry to upstart.com/JTrain to find out how low your Upstart rate can be. Checking your rate only takes a few minutes. That's upstart.com/JTrain. Your loan amount will be determined based on your credit, income, and certain other information provided in your loan application. Not all applicants will qualify for the full amount. The J-Train podcast is brought to you by Postmates. If you're like me, you probably start thinking about what to eat for dinner while you're eating lunch. The most exciting part of the day is when a fancy new sandwich arrives at my door. I love food. That's why I love using Postmates. But I kind of love them even more right now because I can get food delivered without leaving the house or even opening the door. That's right. Given what's going on in the world, they created non-contact deliveries. So now when I order from local restaurants, everything gets left right outside my door. They also have Postmates Pickup, which I have been using to order takeout from my favorite local restaurants. Those mom and pop shops you love need support now, and using Postmates helps. I did it the other day. I got a full rotisserie chicken using the Postmates Pickup, part of the app. It was great. It was from a restaurant that maybe I never would have gotten to if it wasn't for what Postmates is doing. In these times, it's no longer about burgers and sushi. They actually make my life easier by picking up everything I need from Walgreens and 7-Eleven, dropping it off outside my door. Just download Postmates on the iOS or Android to find your favorites and get anything you want delivered within the hour. For a limited time, Postmates is giving our listeners $5 off your first 5 orders for your first 7 days. To save $5 on your first 5 deliveries, download the app and use code JTRAIN, JTRAIN. That's code JTRAIN for $5 off your first 5 orders when you download the Postmates app or sign up online. Anything you need, anytime you need it, Postmate it. JTrain Podcast at gmail.com. JTrain Podcast at gmail.com. Here with Sean Donnelly at Shawnee Time. Go follow. Let's do this one. This is as a screenshot. I'm going to forward it to you right now. Okay?
In my email?
Yeah, I'm going to email you right now. Okay. This is very specific. We just got over Thanksgiving. I know we're taping ahead of time, but this is a Thanksgiving. This is like holiday season stuff that's coming up. J-Train Q, the 8:30 p.m. Happy Thanksgiving text from an ex. Why? Okay? So I just sent you the screenshot and the email. You have the email. I'm going to read it right now.
No, I don't have it. Let me hold on.
Hit refresh.
I'll hitting refresh. Here we go. I just got you. All right. So
Hi, Jared.
Hold on.
I'll read it first, and then we'll get to the text.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't see the picture yet. Okay.
Hi, Jared. I got the dreaded Happy Thanksgiving text from a guy I ended things with a month ago. For background, we dated casually for 9 months. When I initiated the talk and asked for more of a commitment, he said he couldn't do it because of all the obligations, but wanted to keep talking and seeing me. I appreciated his honesty, but declined the offer and said we needed to let go of each other. He said he respected my decision and hopes we'll meet again one day. Since then, I've missed him, but have been moving on. Then I get this fucking text, and I'm back to thinking about him. I initially was excited to hear from him and replied, see exchange attached. So let's read the exchange.
Okay.
I'll be him. You be her.
Okay.
Hey, happy Thanksgiving. Hope you're doing great.
Hey, it's really great to hear. Really good to hear from you. I hope you had a great day with your family and that you're doing well too.
Very cordial. That was okay. So let's read. Reflecting on it now, I'm annoyed that he would reach out when I'm trying to move on, especially when he knows how much I liked him and wanted to be with him. I'm regretting my reply. Why would he and exes in general send holiday check-in texts? Does he miss me? Is he selfishly trying to keep me hanging on to expand his options, or am I overthinking what was simply a nice gesture? Also, why did he send the text so late in the day? Would love late in the day is not okay. Would love any other advice or responding or not responding to these texts. Thanks for all you do and the laughs during this shitty year. So, Sean, let's go through the questions. What do you think? Why do people send in the check-in holiday text to an ex?
I think it's the putting the feelers out. It's to keep the options open, like she said. I think it's also a day where if he's with his family hanging out, and he got, your family sometimes they can take their fill by 2 p.m. So if it's later in the day and you're sick of talking to your Aunt Mary or whatever it is, you're going to look at your phone, and maybe he was scrolling back, and maybe he probably did. There's a chance that he thought about her, scrolled back in the text, and then shot her a message. I don't think it was an innocent text. I think that it was a thing of let me see if she writes back. Let me see what she says. Let me see. Maybe he was thinking because they had a full-on relationship. I forget what she said.
They were casually dating for about 9 months, and then she wanted to make it more serious, and he said he couldn't get serious.
I don't think it's that he wants to get serious at all. I think he was I think what he was honest to God. I think that he was thinking, oh, maybe I can get us occasionally dating again.
Well, this is deep, and it's not deep at the same time. I think people send out the happy holiday texts, to an ex because the holidays are lonely. If you're alone, you realize it even more. You're around family. They're wondering who you're seeing. You go, I'm not really seeing anybody. I had this great girl for 9 months. I didn't really, Holidays are when you start going, I'm out. And also, why is it late in the day? He's drinking. Yeah. He's got the family there. He's sick of the family, just like Sean said. I get it. He's reflecting. Everyone gets a little reflective over the holidays.
Oh, I've done this. I've done this.
Absolutely. I think everyone has. And also, so that's the deep part. The deep part is there's loneliness. There's what am I doing? Who have I hooked up with? Who have I had a good time with? The not deep part is that he's not generally, and when people send these texts, they're generally not thinking, well, this text is what will get us back together forever. This text is where we can. No. This is self. Keeping himself afloat. This is self. I'm looking for a word. Preservation.
I was going to say self-affirmizing. What do they call it? Where it's
maybe affirm out. Whatever. I think it's preservation of your own.
Oh yeah.
Emotional state where you're I'm alone, I feel lonely, who can I text? Oh, this person and I had a pretty good ending. I'll send them a text. To them, it's not, I know this is hard to believe, but to them it's not, oh, she really wanted to be together, I should text her because now we can be together. It's, no, that ended fine. I'm going to let her know I'm still friendly, I'm still here. Yes. And what happens a lot of time with these people is that you start to text from a happy Thanksgiving text, and then they get down the line a little bit with it, and then it's hey, let's do a date, and then they go, and then they get really close to coming back to you until they scurry away because they realize, oh my God, there is more, I'm signing up for more than just a hangout or a hookup.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially if that's the way that she was going into it. In the light of day, when it's not Thanksgiving and then things start picking up for him again, and it's not him pondering whatever and not feeling lonely, like you said. We turn to our phones when we're lonely, and this is that exact case. So yeah, he might get to the point where he's wait, what was I thinking? What am I doing?
Yeah, and so she says, am I overthinking? You're not overthinking it, but he's not thinking of it as much as you. So, absolutely. He's thinking of it as loneliness, get rid of loneliness. Let me text woman who has said yes to my naked body before.
Yes.
And that's it. And then I'll deal with the consequences later. And again, I don't think her text back, hey, it's really good to hear from you. I hope you had a really great day with your family and you're doing well too. Hers was professional enough that it didn't feel, it wasn't she was oh, I miss you so much.
No, not even close.
I think she was very nice, but yeah. I think her regret probably comes from, hey, now I've left the door open for more texts like this in the future to bring me back to a bad place. I think when you have an ending with someone, it is okay to let someone know that this text brings you to a negative place, which she was. So I think she was very nice. I appreciate the way she texted back, but she could also say, if he texts again, she could also say, hey, thinking back to that Thanksgiving text, I really wasn't happy to hear from you because it made me a little upset because I did like you, and it made me rethink decisions that were made in the past, and I really didn't need to go down that road because it seems like you didn't take that text as seriously as I took receiving it.
Yeah, I could see that. And you know what? You're right. Like the grown-up thing, like not the grown-up thing, but she's totally valid if she was to send a text back like that, because that's
Absolutely.
the reality of the situation. He's trying to play that game of like, how are you? And it's like that the politeness level, keeping it above board of like I'm just checking in, and then it's like, no, you're not. You have maybe it's not devious, but it's not devious. It's like it's a little.
You're using me as a Band-Aid, and that might not be a big deal to you, but it is a big deal to me.
Right.
And that's why she's feeling shitty right now. It's like, listen, you made no mistakes, but if you want for the next time, if he reaches out again, which it sounds like he might.
He probably will.
Then you do have the right to say, hey, this puts me in a bad place. I tried, being more than just a hookup with you. You said no to that. Now you're reaching out to me, and it makes me feel a little cheap, I would think.
Absolutely, and it should, because that's kind of where it's coming from. He wants to get if I had to guess, he wants the same situation that he had, and maybe nothing is going on at the moment, so he's like, why don't I try this out again, because she's nice enough, and I'll just say hello. And then he has the plausible deniability to go, I was just saying hi. I was just saying hi. But we all know that it's not just that. It's like,
and he has given, the problem is he's working off the contract that he was an all stop at. You guys ended at you offering him a contract going, I would like to be more. And he was like, no, I'll give you this contract where we stay exactly where we are. And you said, no, thank you. So to him, this is him re-giving his own contract. This is him going, hey, still here, still looking for casual, and then you writing back, thanks. It's annoying. It's like, I've already said no to that contract. Get the fuck out of here. JTrainPodcast@gmail.com. JTrainPodcast@gmail.com. Sean Donnelly, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me, my friend. Me friend.
Everyone go follow Sean at ShawnyTime. Go follow at the DYM podcast. That's where you got to go every Friday. Celebrate on SiriusXM every Wednesday at 4:00. Go at ShawnyTime. Thank you, Sean. Great to see you, buddy.
Thank you, brother.
And I'm Jared Freed. We're here every Monday and Thursdays with your emails, your stories, your questions. We'll be back next episode. Boom! Don't forget to like the video you just watched. I have many more. Subscribe to the channel right now. Like and subscribe, you fool. There's even a bell you can click to. Now you've got your week set Monday through Friday. I'm here for you.